Hello. You probably have a few questions. First, you may notice this isn't the content I teased in the last video. That's because that script is now over an hour and a half long and I need a break. After all, there's other games that I need to review in the meantime. For now, I'm pushing it to the back burner, but rest assured it will come. You can't escape it. Second, you're probably wondering why it's been a month since my last upload, to which I will respond, what do you mean? The date is January 27th. This is another regularly scheduled upload for every other Friday. You should really take your medication. On that note, Hi-Fi Rush is a rhythm-based beat-em-up and it absolutely rules. You play as Chai, a new recruit for a corporate program called Project Armstrong, which replaces people's body parts with robotics. But the process goes awry when a music player is embedded in his chest, allowing him to feel the beat of the world around him and commit domestic violence to it. Unfortunately for him, because the Armstrong process failed on him, he's labeled a defect by the corporate heads of Vandalay, the company in charge of the whole area. After meeting up with a ragtag crew of heroes, they discover there's a more sinister plot behind Project Armstrong and decide to take down the whole of Vandalay Tech to put a stop to it. Our cast is composed of Chai, our playable character, and a lovable moron with a heart of gold. Peppermint, resident tech genius and mastermind behind the takedown of Vandalay. Macaron, a gentle giant who would rather talk than fight, and you know what they say about guys with big hands. Cinnamon, Macaron's robotic companion, who will absolutely confirm that Macaron is indeed Packin. Corsica, the Scottish mommy and former head of Vandalay Security, and finally 808, Peppermint's robotic cat and Chai's companion throughout the story. Together, they'll need to take down the 6 corporate heads of Vandalay Tech, if Chai can survive that long. Shockingly, Hi-Fi Rush does a fantastic job of making you care about its characters. The dialogue between them is incredibly funny, and although they all fall into generic character archetypes, they have amazing personality and voice acting, making them really come to life. And this game is fucking hilarious. Seriously, this game consistently made me giggle throughout. Sometimes it's puns.
You think you can strong-arm me?
Hey, you chose to fight! Wait, you like puns too?
What? No. Whatever. Let's see how you handle this.
Sometimes it's an entire boss that's just a JoJo reference.
I saw your reflexes, but how about your endurance? Let's give it a go, go, go! But enough talk! Have at you!
And sometimes it's just crazy shit happening.
Is this the guy?
Hi-Fi Rush nails that area of comedy right on the verge of being cringy. It's self-aware enough to know it's being campy and ridiculous, but also not to dip too deep into pure slapstick or deliver lines that make you want to rupture your eardrums like Neon White does. I honestly think this is one of the funniest games I've ever played, and not necessarily in a laugh-out-loud kind of comedy, but just making me smile throughout, both from the funnies and the gameplay itself. Speaking of gameplay, what is Hi-Fi Rush actually like? Well, I would call it Devil May Cry, but more about the music. The best part of the game is that you don't need to be good at rhythm games to play it. While the game rewards you with a slight damage boost and a higher score for taking actions on the beat, there's absolutely no downside to not doing so. Not only that, your actions will always happen on the beat anyway. If you mistime an attack, the attack will connect a little slower or faster so that it lands at the time it should, meaning you can get right back into the rhythm of the fight. And speaking of actions, Chai has a lot of them. There's the light attack, which takes 1 beat, the heavy attack, which takes 2 but does a lot more damage, a jump, a dodge, and assists. At any point in the fight, you can call in an ally. You have 3 combat-centered friends, and they all do their own helpful thing. Peppermint fires her pistol at an enemy, temporarily stunning them and shattering these blue shields, allowing Chai to hit those enemies. Macaron slams down in a short range, smashing through green shields, once again allowing Chai to hit anyone behind them. Finally, there's Corsica, who, just like all Scottish citizens, has the power to put out fires with the wind. Later in the game, enemies that involve fire are difficult to attack until it's put out, and there's a second use to Corsica which is far more important. Unlike the other two assists, I quite enjoy looking at Corsica's model. Corsica doesn't deal damage, instead temporarily increasing the amount of stun damage done to large enemies. See, larger elite enemies have a little bar next to them when you're fighting, and they won't flinch when they're attacked unless their guard is broken first. Since they don't stagger, they can hit Chai out of combos, so it's really important to break an enemy's guard quickly, and Corsica is insanely helpful for this. On his own, Chai has a variety of combos he can perform by stringing together light and heavy attacks. At the end of each full combo, there's a small QuickTime event that'll give you a big bonus hit and knock the enemy away if you succeed. As you play, you can also unlock new combos, allowing you to string more and more attacks together in creative ways. Not only that, but Chai has a secondary resource called the reverb gauge. This builds up as the fight goes on and has two uses. 1. Assists. While your usual assists are completely free to use and are only on a timer before you can activate them again, if you activate an assist right as a combo finishes, it spins a chunk of the reverb gauge and activates a short cutscene with the selected ally that deals a ton of damage and activates their effects, as well as allowing you to continue your combo and doubling your score for a short time. And the second use, special attacks. These are equipable finishers that consume a large portion of the reverb gauge and have big flashy effects. These can be anything from a couple hits in front of you to triggering a cutscene-long massive attack that covers the entire battlefield. Every battle in the game temporarily locks Chai into a small area, so fights can get pretty cramped. In the case that they're not, Chai is also equipped with a grappling hook. This auto-locks to the nearest enemy or the enemy closest to the center of your screen, so it's great for getting to flying enemies or long-range enemies like gunners. This makes combat feel almost as fast as a college kid when class ends. But what do you do when you're absolutely surrounded by enemies? In this situation, dodging so many attacks will interrupt your combos and make it really hard to escape, so it's time to use our final combat option, the parry. While the game doesn't require you to master parrying, the difference it makes in combat can't be overstated. Not only does it save you from damage, it partially breaks the attacker's guard, opening them up to continue more combos. Parrying only takes one beat, which also means it can be used to continue some combos that require you to skip a beat in the middle. Not only that, some elite enemies can lock you into a forced parrying section, and if you succeed it perfectly, you get the chance to kill them in a single hit. And when you put it all together, it looks a little like this. The gameplay is incredible. I don't even like beat-em-ups, but I love Hi-Fi Rush. But not just for the crazy combos that you can do, it's that the game looks incredible too. It has a beautiful cel-shaded style that makes the whole game look like a comic book. The cutscenes are really good too, again, all the same kind of comic book style. In fact, some of the cutscenes are literally stylized to be comic book panels. But back to the style in-game, everything is really clear and easy to see at a glance. I never got lost in the game as the environment points you exactly where you need to go. Not only can you almost always see the goal and the distance to work towards, it literally points you in the direction you need to go. This is either done in spray paint on the walls or through these construction barriers scattered around the area. And the environments are super cool too. You can go from an industrial park to a volcano to a hyper-advanced security tower full of lasers and then fight a boss in Scrooge McDuck's money vault. They're incredibly stylized and flow together perfectly, even if they might seem completely random and outlandish. Each enemy type is introduced in an environment that makes sense, and they have very clear designs and colorations, meaning you always know what needs to be done at a glance in the middle of combat. Like here, I see a bird has entered the fight, so I know instantly that I should turn the game off and stop playing. Not only are the enemy designs really good, so are the main character designs. Chai looks fantastic, his whole outfit just matches his personality perfectly. The color coordination for each character's outfit matches their abilities, and you're gonna find out real quick that whoever designed the female characters really had a thing for ripped tights. I don't mean that as a bad thing, trust me. I just noticed it was true. 808 is also an incredible design. She's just a cat, but the lights and art style make her instantly recognizable. Also, the fact that she's basically a radio for everyone else in the party gives her some really funny interactions with Chai. Not only that, but sometimes there are these cute little cutaways in the middle of combat while enemies spawn, where you get to see the two interact. Very cute, very cool, very recognizable. Fantastic mascot for the series if you ask me. But the coolest shit in the whole world is how the music is integrated into the world. It's not just in combat, everything in the entire world moves to the beat of the music. Moving platforms, environmental hazards, even just the trees move in time with the song. Little tiny details like Chai snapping to the music or things moving around in the walls, everything is on the beat. But even better is that all of your actions also add another unique sound on top of everything else. Dashing on the beat causes a little hi-hat, jumping makes a guitar riff, grappling gives a drum hit and a shout, and your attacks play guitar chords. I love when games do stuff like this, and sometimes I dashed around and light attacked at nothing just because it sounded good. And on that note, let's talk about the music. As you might imagine, rhythm games having good music is, well, it's pretty important. Luckily, you don't need to imagine Hi-Fi Rush having good music, because it just does. It also has an incredible feature that allows you to replace all the music with original tracks, allowing people to stream the game, or, in my case, used in the background of my video so that you can actually tell what playing the game is like. Obviously, having a background track play as I show you gameplay doesn't live up to what playing it is actually like. The original tracks are absolutely incredible, and perfectly suit the environment, and they're great for getting into the groove of combat. All I have to say about it is that it's absolutely incredible. Probably the most shocking thing about this entire game is that it wasn't marketed, like, at all. I hadn't heard a thing about this game until one of my friends recommended it to me, which is insane because it's published by Bethesda. And I have no idea why, because as I've hopefully shown you all, it's fucking awesome. Honestly, it's only February, and I think Hi-Fi Rush is going to make my top 5 games of the year. Luckily, even with the lack of advertising, I'm seeing the game gain a lot of traction. YouTubers and streamers are absolutely loving it, and I'm no different. Honestly, the best part of the whole game is that it's finished. I never encountered any bugs, any frustrating segments, or bad music tracks. There's no massive pre-order bonus gatekeeping half the content, the frame rate was perfect, and most incredible of all, the game is just $30. For half the price of a usual AAA game, you get not just all the content, not just a finished product, but a fantastic experience full of care and attitude and fun in all the best ways. Hi-Fi Rush is an amazing game that I absolutely adore, and I highly recommend it to any fans of rhythm games or beat-em-ups, because this game combines the genres perfectly. Go and pick it up if you have the cash, because I would rate it a Scottish mommy with ripped tights out of all the fan art that's going to be drawn of her. Thank you for watching, and as always, I'll see you soon.